And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports. And we are ready for another very interesting, very fun opportunity to try and pick the Springbok 23 for this weekend up against Georgia. Really, probably our last big opportunity to rotate and to give players chances. After this, we've got two back-to-back games against the Wallabies. Then we go over to New Zealand to play at Eden Park in Wellington. Then we've got to go over to London to play Argentina, and then we host Argentina. So this is the big opportunity really to rotate and to sort of see players for the future. And what's quite interesting is the fact that we already did rotate last weekend and give lots of players an opportunity, and lots of these players took the opportunity as well. Which means, are we going to see as much rotation this weekend? Are we going to see a couple of the old players back, for example? Where do we sort of sit with regards to exactly what we want to see for this weekend? Do we want to sort of see a very similar team to what we saw last week? Do we bring in a couple of other players who maybe haven't played as much rugby recently? Do we want to try to turn out different types of combos, for example? Lots of different ways that Rassie Russ can kind of go about his selection for the side. Now, you probably find that the basic side was announced quite a while ago, internally at least, to a lot of the squad, to the entire squad. And now it'll be about whether, based on the first two Italy games, we're kind of sticking to that concept, or whether we want to sort of rotate a bit more, and where we want to do. Now, personally, I think that we've got to look at this as, who do we think could be involved in the World Cup in 2 years' time, and we need to give opportunities to and get sort of caps in. So somebody like a Ethan Hooker, for example, coming off the bench last weekend, Kobus Visa, Asnat and Clavacania, our debutants, our uncapped players. This is an opportunity to give them another good run. You also don't want to just give out caps for the sake of it, So there's always needs to be that sort of earning and being able to really sort of fight for your jersey and fight for your place in the side. And we've also got to try and give an opportunity for this team to work on things, because this is also our last game before the Rugby Championship. And when we start at the Rugby Championship, when we host Australia, we need to be playing our best rugby. We don't have a lot of time to be able to get things right, because if Australia sort of pitch up and we're not at our best and we lose a game, there goes our Rugby Championship. We've got 2 games against Australia. We might be able to rotate a little bit, because we've also got a week in between, or basically 2 weeks between the games in New Zealand. So we've got an opportunity to sort of, rest players and likes of that. But I think that we go pretty strong for at least one of the Australian times. We might be able to rotate a little bit, but the core of the team will probably have to be quite similar. And then we're going to basically then go full strength more or less for the rest of the Rugby Championship. Probably go pretty full strength against against Argentina. And then at the end of the year, we've got an incredibly tough outgoing series. Now, I do think we'll rotate, obviously, for Wales, given where Wales are at the moment. But the Italy is never that easy, and we've got Ireland and France as well. So this is the biggest game possible for us to rotate, and I'll be interested to sort of see what that looks like. I mean, we had the game last year against Portugal, where we had 2 games against Ireland, very similar 23s, and then we just completely flipped the switch and released the youngsters in the next generation on Portugal. Slightly different, because we really used some of these players against Italy. So now pretty much everybody in the squad has gotten a run. I think the players who haven't gotten a run so far between the two official tests here, Khalees has obviously been struggling with injury. Bashir, I think, is the only uncapped player who hasn't officially been capped. I'm looking at the squad here. I'm trying to think of who. Jean-Luc Dupré was on maternity leave, so that's why he's not been involved. And so I think that, basically everyone's had an opportunity, which begs the question, what do we do now this weekend? Is it just a case of a bit of a free hit out, play a young side, or do we still want to try and get an opportunity to the likes of your Evan Etzebest, your Damien Delendis, Jesse Creels, who have played limited rugby in the last month or two, given the fact that the Japanese season finished quite early? So that's why I want to ask you guys the question, because you guys are picking the side, not me. My team will come out later. Keegan also mentioned another player, Bowen Fenter, not getting an opportunity so far. Marcus van der Merwe having not got an opportunity so far. Do we give Bowen Fenter a run this weekend? Do we need to, for example? Because again, you talk about players having to really earn their chances, and you don't want. And there was a big resistance initially towards the way Rassie Russ was doing it, because people were saying that they're cheapening the Bok jersey because so many players were getting opportunities, so many players were getting caps and the likes of that. Now, we went and then won 2 World Cups. Suddenly we went, oh, hang on, maybe it's just not quite the same as it was how many years ago. They play so much rugby that you have to rotate. You have to have big player bases. injuries are far bigger, I think, these days. We're getting more injuries than we were before, even if they're short term, because you're just playing so much rugby. So you kind of also have to try and weigh that up. So we've got a lot of players picked. We're going straight into it. So who starts at number 1? Now, your options are really, you got Thomas the Toy, you've got Oxen Chair, you've got Bone Fenter, and you've got Jan-Hendrik Wessels. And Tukan, as mentioned, probably would have had a chance this weekend, but he is not currently fit. So those are your loose head options. I'm pretty sure I'm not forgetting about anything. No. Not that I can think of. Right, there we go. Those are your number 1 options. People, I can't afford to spend too much time on each of these players, so I need you to vote quickly. Basically, we're going to cap it at about 20-25 votes, and then we're going to throw them into the side and move on. The Ultimate Sharpshooter said Bone Fenter has to start here. I would have liked Nkunu to have had this game, but he is not fit. So Ox can't be an option, surely. 4 games in a row. Well, it is 4 games in a row. The next time he has to play is the 23rd of August. So it's the 19th of July. It's more than a month. So this is also the thing I keep saying when everybody keeps saying, they've played 2 games in a row. They can't. I mean, guys, they can play these sort of games in a row. Some people are saying, like, Lua Diaga's played so much coming back from injury. Lua Diaga played a full Japanese system. He's probably, touch wood, in one of the fittest scenarios and fittest situations been in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, really. So we could have an Ox play again because he's then going to get another month break, basically. So we've actually got quite a lot of time between our games this year, which is quite nice. The nice thing is, for example, if you say Ox and Chair, we don't need you. On Wednesday, we announce the team. Tomorrow we announce the team. Wednesday, they have the last hits out. And something like Ox and Chair, you say, right, off you go. Go back to Durban, go and put your feet up, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. When we regather, or 3 weeks' time, when we regather for the Rugby Championship. So lots of opportunities. Right, we have 23 votes. We're 50-50 between Jan-Hendrik Wessels and Bone Fenter. So I need more votes to try and separate one. We're at 24 votes. I'm going to end the poll as soon as we get to 25, but I need someone to have a clear winner here. Off to a nice start here from being able to debate who's and who. Guys, you're not helping. And now it's gone straight down to they're staying the same. There we go. Oh, no, never mind. I thought I had a clear winner. I'm going to end the poll and see if it spits out a clear winner. I think it might have. There we go. Okay. So there are a couple of votes changed. Jan-Hendrik Wessels does go into the starting lineup. Jan-Hendrik. Okay, so Jan-Hendrik Wessels in the number 1 jersey. Right, who starts at hooker? You got Marnus van der Merwe. You've got Malcolm Marx. And you've got Bongi Mbonambi. Now, I probably think we probably rest Marx this weekend. And I'd like to see Marnus van der Merwe get a go. So I think my gut says I would start Bongi. And I would bring Marnus van der Merwe off the bench. That's probably what I'm going to do with my team later. Don't want to influence you guys. But those are your options. So when we get to 25 votes, we're going to call it off. So make sure you get those votes in nice and quickly. Robin Wood saying we have so many to pick from. CP Nunes saying, good day. Welcome, CP Nunes. Lisa Fitness says, I hope Thomas gets a crack at number 3. 9HDF2 saying Thomas needs another go. Ultimate Sharpshooter saying Bongi will be nice in this match to pair with Jan-Hendrik. And Outlaw saying even Georgia lost against the Cheetahs. Falco should play against them. The game is a joke. You know what? At the end of the day, it allows us to rotate over here. I would rather play Georgia and for it to be a really big game for Georgia. Same as Portugal last year. I mean, Georgia are much better than Portugal last year, by the way. I think we mustn't underestimate how well Cheetahs played on Friday to beat Georgia. Georgia are not that far behind Italy. So I would rather, I mean, they're much better side than Portugal, but to be honest, at the moment, we're looking at like France sending a second string side. I think this game on Saturday is far more significant within World Rugby, within the rugby environment, than that France versus New Zealand series where France is just blooding new players and lost quite heavily again on Saturday. The first test was quite close. Then they got outplayed. They'll probably get outplayed again this weekend. I think this game this weekend is far more for the World Rugby environment than a game like that, for example. Anyway, we have got a decision here, and Marnus van der Merwe, according to you guys, will get his first cap in the starting lineup. And now we're going to add in a poll over here for who starts at... I'm just going to move this mic slightly there. Who starts at number 3? Now, you got Asanati and Hlabakanye. You've got Vilcolo. I'm not going to put Vincent Cocking because he never starts. So I just don't think he will really be an option. So I'm going to put in Nettling for sure. And then I'm going to throw in Thomas Totoy as the 4th option. In theory, we do have Vincent Cock. I'll throw him in the bench option. But, yeah, those are really the 4 thing. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. Ruan Nokia, I expect to play this weekend, was in the press conference earlier, and it's very rare the Springboks put somebody up at the top table on the Monday press conference if he's not going to be involved on the weekend. So that for me is an early sign that Ruan Nokia will probably start this weekend. Be interesting to see whether he starts at 5. Some people suggesting he might start at 7, for example. But we've got 24 votes, about to close us down. And Thomas Toy currently leading it, and there we go. We'll close it there. We have got more people in the chat there, so I'll try and close the next one at about 35 votes. But you guys are going to be nice and quick with those 35 votes, right? So now we've got Thomas the Toy start at tight head, and right, number 4. Our options at 4 are as follows. Who starts at number 4? And you've got Ian Etzebeth who could start. You've got an Arche Snyman that can start. I wonder if we might see that, for example, this weekend. We've got Kubas Visa who could start. And you've got a Salman Murat who could start. Yes, you could also then look at a JL Dupre, for example. In theory, Vince Chatuka could start there as well. But those are sort of the main 4 options for number 4. So let's put their thing out. Johnny Pillay says, I think Georgia is a good team to test our forwards, especially they have some big units. Hobbies is, I think, as far as I understand, fit, just doesn't make the squad at the moment. Such has been the form of Marnus van der Merwe. CP Nunes says, Ruan Nokia should start for me, had a great game. Right now, I've got 27 votes. I want to get that close to that 35 mark. So let's keep getting those votes in. We've got a clear winner, and I like that because he's going to be in my team later as well when I release that later this afternoon. So 32 votes, 31 votes. We can pretty much nail it down. Kubas Visa to start in the number 4 jersey. Big fan of that call. Right, now number 5 jersey. Who starts at number 5? And I'm going to put out Franco Mostert. I'm going to put out Luit Dialga. We're going to throw out Ruan Nokia. And we're going to throw out... I don't think there's anybody else that maybe a different option. I don't think we can see PSD at the toy there, for example. Let's put in a Arceus Namer, because in theory you can play in both. So let's throw them out. There, shall we? And Sia says, give Kubas a go. He looked good on Saturday. I think they will. And I'd really like to see it as well. I've been saying for a while that I think he's a very underrated player. And I think that I'd love to see an option. I think he could be a genuine backup to Evan Etzebeth, especially with Jean Klein getting that injury. Not ideal for him, but it gives you the opportunity to try something like a Kubas Visa, and he needs to try and take that opportunity if he gets it. So Ruan Nokia right now is flown into the lead. Franco Mostert coming second at the moment. We're not trying to get to that 35 votes mark, so keep bringing those votes in. Louis Larkin says, Neotli for sure. I think talking about number 3. I think you could be on the bench this weekend. Ultimate Sharpshooter says, I think we must be careful not to make this too much of a C team. Otherwise, the game will be too messy. Well, to be fair, we completely rotated on Saturday. And we, ironically, probably almost looked at times a little bit more well-gelled than the first side. So I suppose it depends on how long they've been actually working together. But we're going to end the poll there. Ruan Nokia goes into number 5 jersey. So he's in at 5. Now, the big question is, in theory, Sia Khaleesi is supposedly fit. I mean, they've been monitoring him. They weren't going to risk him, for example. In theory, Dion David said today that everyone's available. So I'm going to put in Sia Khaleesi, I'm going to put in Quacker Smith, I'm going to put in Marco van Staden. And I think that's pretty much it, really. I mean, Evan Roos maybe is an option at 6, but I don't really see it. But he has played there before, so I'll throw him in there just so we've got 4 votes over there. Hendrick saying, remember to select the bench players as well. Well, as you can see, there is space for the bench. And so we will be selecting our bench. And CS saying, Franco hasn't had a start. I think so. I think we could give him a start. And Louis Larkin reckons Archer Sneyman. I think he might be slightly behind where we are, Louis. So maybe just try and catch up on the stream. So on the players. Otherwise, unfortunately, all the stuff I'm reading is from a while ago. CP says CS should start. He needs to bring a fresh start in the 6th jersey. Kevin Ludick reckons Escon needs to start. At the moment, we've got a pretty clear winner, though, to be fair. And if he's fit, Sia Khaleesi gets his first game of the season in the number 6 jersey, and therefore will be the captain. Right, big call over here for me. Who starts at number 7? Right, you got Peter Steph the Toy as an option. You've got Vincent Chatuka, who can add to his single test cap if he gets a go. As far as I'm trying to, I think Jean-Luc Dupre is back in the mix. So I'm going to throw in there as an option. And I'm going to throw in in theory, Crocker Smith can start there as well. But I'm going to actually put in a Franco Moster because maybe they might look at that as an option. And then for me, it's going to be very interesting to see who we're going to pick at 8. Given the fact that Jasper Wiese will not be involved this weekend. He's going to a full disciplinary hearing, by the way. There has been an update. He's going to a full disciplinary hearing. It wasn't part of that expedited process, which meant we would have heard from him yesterday. So he's gone to a full hearing, which means we'll only probably hear about his sanction tomorrow afternoon, evening is probably my guess. Johnny Perez says, so the breakdown commentators looked so upset with the innovation against ST. I think we will see more against Georgia. Sia reckons Sia should start. He hasn't played so much. He needs a solid hit out, 100%. Ultimate Sharpshooter says, give Pierre Steph another game. I say JF Van Heerden not in the squad. It's part of the lineman camps, but not in the final squad. And the big call there is, by the way, is 61% to see more of Vincent Chatuka. Right, then in the number 8 jersey, who starts at number 8? Question mark. Evan Ruiz is an option. Quacha Smith. You can't spell Quacha Smith. That is an option. Jasper Wiese is not an option. But Jean-Luc Dupre is an option. And as far as I understand, he is back in the squad. He was away from paternity leave for the birth of his child, but as far as I understand, he is back. As Dion David said, everyone is in theory available. C. Benuna says, bring Peter Steph off the bench, rest him for the TRC. And Sia saying, I'd like to see Jean-Luc. He didn't play much against the Barbarians. He had that slight injury. He did come back on. I thought it looked pretty good, actually. I thought one of his better outings. In fairness, most people did also look pretty good in that game itself. However, he is not going to get the backing from you guys. You've got 37 votes, and majority going with Evan Ruiz in the number 8 jersey. Right, number 9. Who starts at number 9? You've got Morne Vandenberg. You've got Grant Williams, can go back to back. And then you've got the experience of a Faf de Klerk or a Kobus Reinach. Right, so there we go. Those are your 4 scrum-off options. Johnny Perez says, Ruiz had a great game against Italy. Give him another go. Well, there we go. We've got our pack. And it's Jan Vessels, Marcus van der Merwe, Thomas Latoy, backed up by Kobus Wiese and Ruben Nokia, Sia Khaleesi, Vince Tuka, Evan Ruiz. I like that. It's a nice experience with Thomas Latoy, Sia Khaleesi in particular. You got your new guys in, Kobus Wiese will play just a second game. Jan Vessels continuing to pick up caps, which is good. Vince Ruiz getting a nice opportunity. Vince Tuka adding to his cap. Quite a nice balance there, people. You guys seem to know what you're doing here. Right, at the moment, it's pretty close between Morne Vandenberg and Grant Williams. Going to call it off there. We've got over 40 votes. You guys starting to get involved. Fly half so far. We went Sasha versus the Barbarians, Andre Pollard against Italy 1, and then Mighty Buck versus Italy 2. And I'd say, actually, to be fair, the 3 of them, I think Mighty Buck probably took his chance the most. Played really well on Saturday and showed. It's just the problem is we're just a different team with Mighty Buck. We really are. Sasha's going to get there, I think. And I think that's probably one of the reasons you got to keep giving him games. But I do think right now, if we want to play our best possible rugby, Mighty Buck in the number 10 jersey is the way to go. So that's what we got there. Right, so 43 votes already there. We're going to have a change at 10. And we're going to see Sasha partnering Morne Vandenberg in the number 10 jersey. Right, let's go to our number 11. Who starts at 11? Question mark. I'm putting in Makazolo Mapimpi. I'm putting in Kurtley Arons. I'm going to put in Edwin van der Merwe. And I'm actually going to put in... I go Kane and Moody. Don't go. I suppose we've got Chez and Colby. I'll put in Kane and Moody in the number 14 option over there. So there we go. So going to some of the comments earlier. And CPS says, I need that Grant. Sasha Combat CS says, start Mornay. Him and Grant are the future and present, if we're being honest. Bandita says, Grant and Mornay are both great scrum halves. Bruce says, not a Russ fan, but he was full value from his for his time. Manara says, Grant and Sasha would be an electric halfback pairing. Welcome, Charles Gorries, our latest subscriber. Hopefully, the stream has come back to you. Nothing seems to have gone down my side, but let me know if anybody else is having those issues. We've got over 40 votes, though, and Edwin van der Merwe starting in the number 11 jersey. Tends to start in the number 14, but I do think we could potentially see him in the number 11, and I'm very happy. I think he was so good over the weekend. I think he's going to put in proper pressure on Kurtley Arons and Cheslin Colby, which is saying a lot. I mean, Kurtley Arons' try-scoring record is ridiculous. Cheslin Colby is Cheslin Colby. Who starts at 12? Big question here. At 12, I'm going to put in Damien De Lindy. I'm going to throw in Andre the hybrid Esterhazy. Maybe Esterhazy starts at 7, you know. I mean, just banter. Just starts on the flank. You know, just shits and giggles. And I'm going to put in Damien Willemse as an option at 12. And I'm going to put... Yeah, I'm going to put Ethan Hooker. I was actually going to put Sasha as an option at 12. Whether we'll see that for the box, I'm not entirely sure. But he does cover 12. I think we're going to see Sasha at 23 this weekend. Once again, I think that's a really nice opportunity because you can play him at 15, you can play him at 10, you can play him at 12. Get him onto the park in different potential positions. Johnny says, Mornay and Grant look to be our Rugby World Cup go-getter. Zach from Rowan saying, Grant by far our best 9. CS says, give Edville another crack. He's earned a spot. We know what we have in Kurt Lawrence and Cheslin. TP Nunes is going Dale Lindy. And Sharpshooter reckons Dale Lindy next to Ethan Hooker. Well, they do see Ethan Hooker more as an outside centre than a wing, for example, and more of an inside. But Andre Esterhazy has got the most votes, so Andre Esterhazy is getting another crack. And then this one is going to be, for me, very interesting. Who starts at 13? Who starts at 13? Jesse Creel is in and around there. You've got Ethan Hooker. Will he get a first start? Kane Moody was very good over the weekend. And, I mean, it's not like giving Kane Moody a chance isn't giving a youngster a chance, for example. He just seems like it's not because he's a World Cup winner, but he's still 22 years old. Absolutely mental. So those are your options at 13. Let's see if we can get up to 50 votes maybe for this one over here. And Daniel says, do you think Hassim P makes the 2027 World Cup squad? I don't think he makes the 2027 World Cup squad. I think that right now we've got our players. I tell you what, as the Lions, what do? You've got Nico Steyn, who's already been invited to a Bok camp. You've got Morne van den Berg, who the Rassie Erasmus and the Bok coach staff look at him and saying him and Grant are probably our future number 9s. And then you've got Hashim P coming through. I mean, how is that for depth? We've got arguably probably the 3 most exciting young scrum halves really in the country. You know, in terms of where they are right now. Jaden Hendricks would be in the mix, but because he's still a very young player, is a World Cup winner as well, but struggling a little bit. And I don't think the Stormers 9s have really been sort of really putting their hand up too much. You've got somebody like an Asad Moose, for example, coming through. You've got some, like a Keegan Johannes, for example, but he's playing more at 10. So Lions have got so much depth at scrum off, which is really, really cool to see. We're up to 56 votes, by the way. We've gone with Ethan Hooker. So he's going to get a chance at 13. As Bruce says, P needs more URC exposure. I think he'll get that. I think we'll be able to see the Lions use those 3 players throughout the URC. Nico Steyn covering 10 as well is quite useful. But let's get our options at 14. Who starts at 14? Options being Kurtley Arons, Cheslin Colby, Kanan Moody, and Premier doesn't play 14. I'm going to put an updated Fassi. If you wanted to put him on the wing, for example. Tell you what I'd actually love to see this weekend is Quine Horn involved. Wish he was still on the squad, because I think that I'd love to see him coming off the bench. But not involved. I think he's somebody that should be involved quite soon, though, to be honest. I think we've got somebody there who is going to be a very good player and will be with Apollo Fassi and Damian Willemse right at the top of their game. So we've got 40 votes over here. Cheslin Colby coming in second. Kane Moody's been back the most. And going with a very young side, or a little more experienced side at the moment. So we've got 50 votes over there. Let's put in Kane Moody, shall we? Right, then the big call at 15. And I'm going to go with, obviously, we've got Damian Willemse as an option. We've got Apollo Fassi as an option. And we've got Willie LaRue as an option. You know, just for shits and giggles, let's throw in Cheslin Colby as well, because we haven't picked him on anything yet. And can play at fullback. They've always spoken about that. Yeah, we've got Sasha already in the team. So let's throw Cheslin Colby in at fullback as an option, yeah, shall we? And look at some of the comments over there saying... CS saying Ethan Hooker, but Kane Moody was good on the weekend. We can move him on the other wing. CP Nunes says, cannot wait to see Cheswell Yoster in a Bok jersey. Electrifying strong winger. Dennis saying, why did I take Moody off? Well, I don't know. I didn't do the voting. This is your guys' team, not mine. Of course, Nati is saying, only if they record McCarthy for that 14 position. He played well against the Georgia. Johnny says, Moody can cover outside centre and Estes can cover flank, 100%. CS saying Quiet Horn is a proper player, would like to have seen him have a go. The real one reckons Ethan at 12. Keenan says would rather have Ethan Hooker on the wing with Moody at 13. Birdie says, what about Grant Williams at 14? He is an option. He is an option. Update Fassi, though, however, is going to go into this team based on those votes. So we now move on to our number 16. Who is the number 16? Who is your reserve hooker? Your options are Malcolm Marks and Bongi Imanamdi. Wasn't there, you could actually throw Marcus for Starden. They should have done. Should put Marcus for Starden in there, seeing as he technically is an option that he ticks on the box, covers that number 2, which is always fun. But he just says, we got Fassi, but having Damien play a bit more would be nice. He says, bring back the weekend special. Tommy's saying, we need to see the future, have a go all together. Right now, Bongi Manambi has flown to a very early lead. Everybody's saying we don't need to see anything of Malcolm Marks this weekend. 29 votes, see if we can get that close to the 50 votes. Come on, people. It's almost 150 people. And then I'm going to ask for the... Yeah, so what I do is I picked the front row, and then we decided a 5-3-6-2 8-0 split. But we have to have a front row in that, so that is why I haven't asked you guys just yet. So we've got 44 votes over here. 45, Bongi's pretty much won it already, so I'm going to throw him in there to start with. And that is supposed to be blue. Right, who is going to be number 17? That's the next question. Who is the number 17? Big question mark. Options are Oxen Chair, Bone Fenter. That's kind of it, isn't it? You've got Andrew Vessels, we've got Thomas Latoy, and there are kind of other loose head options. Vincent Cock only plays tight head. Asnat only plays tight head. Neatling only plays tight head. Yeah, I think it's actually it. So it's those two. Either of those two. How on the pro second of the wicket. Up the lads. Up the lads. Little T20 cricket. Looks like we're well on top of Zim at the moment, in case anybody is keeping an eye over there. Kajal says, wonder if this could be our chance to drive the 8-0 split. Sierra reckons Bonga needs to dust off the cobwebs. Hendrick says 7-1 split. Denzel says 11 Edville, 14 Kirtley answer. Sorry, 11. Okay, I don't understand who's your 15 there. You seem to have left out a 15 there, Denzel. Johnny says, I would not want to be the selectors for the Rugby Championship. New Zealand leg, 100%. Bandito wants the 8-0 split. Bruce reckons a 6-2 split. And Jean says, please vote after shower. CSA 8-0 split will be fun to see. And Kevin reckons that the 5-3 split's the way to go. We're gonna vote on that in a bit. But everybody's giving Oxenchair the weekend off and saying Bowen Fenter can get a chance off the bench. So now we're just going to choose our reserve tight head, and then we're going to choose our bench split. Who is our 18? Asenati and Slabakanye. You've got Vincent Koch, Volko Low, and Nietling Fushia. Those are your options. Get them votes in, people. As John said, he's got to go shower. We can't be doing this all day, so we're starting to build quite a nice team over here. And at the moment, Asad Nati's got the early lead. You had 54%. Netly Bashir very quickly. So we very much look like we're just giving anybody a chance here. Not in a dismissive way, but yeah, we do seem to be looking at far more rotation and giving people chances than kind of going with continuity, which I like. I'm all for. I'm all for. So we've got 41 votes there. Going to close it over there. So Asnati is going to get a chance in the number 18 jersey to add to his caps. And my entire spacing is all just going a little bit haywire. We'll fix that in the bit. Right, now we're going to vote for our bench split. What should the bench split be? 5-3, 6-2, 7-1, or 8-0? Technically, Andre Ace isn't kind of starting, so it's difficult to do an 8-0 split, really. But we'll throw it out there. Maybe you can conjure up somebody else who could potentially go into the pack. Andre Estes, in theory, it will be classified as 7-1 split, but it could work as an 8-0 split, which is kind of why we were asking that sort of question. But in theory, him being starting means that we're not going to be able to do that. CS is India coming against England. Oh, Jeepers, classic. And Corsinati says, why is Jay Head not given a chance? He's not on the squad. Daniel DuPont says 5-2. Johnny Pillay was saying Asenati must give another go. Daniel would like to see Nietling give a go. And everyone's going 8-0, but it's not going to win the votes over here. We're going with a 5-3 split from the looks of it, which means we'll go very orthodox. And we're going to say, who is the reserve lock? Who is the number 18? We need more options because we'd actually technically go with two flanks and do a knock here because if it's Tuga, for example, could shift to lock. That's what I'm more thinking of. Who's the number 18? Anyway, let's go look at Arches Neyman as an option. Let's look at Ibn Etzebeth as an option. Let's look at Franco Mostert as an option. Basically looking at our World Cup winners. Let's look at Diaga as an option. I mean, in theory, Salman Murat could be an option, but not 18-19. Steve, 19. Let's see what we're saying there. He's not a particularly popular man at the moment, Salman Murat, so I think he generally would probably start before he would bench, to be honest. Kevin says a 5-2 split plus one hybrid player on the bench. And Hendricks says, good mix of experience. Remember, Rassi wants at least 30 casts by the World Cup. Yeah, 100%. That is the magic number. So at the moment, we've got 38 votes. Going to close it at 40-odd. Arches Neyman kind of edging Franco Mostert is going to get there's RG. So there he goes into the side. And now we need to decide on our number 20. Is our number 20. Options are going to be Kwaka Smith. Look, you could go with two locks because you could have Ruben Okia shift to the flank, but let's go with a more orthodox bench and go with Kwaka Smith. Let's go JL Duprier. Let's go with Pierre the Toy, for example. He can play at lock as well. And let's go with, who am I kind of missing here? Vincent starting, probably Markov and Staden, I think is probably the best person to then look at over here. Yeah, probably makes most sense, doesn't it? In theory, you could go Franco Mostert as well, but let's go with this. So I can only give 4 options, unfortunately. Sharp on Amova reckons that Lord needs game time. CS says Eben for some more game time and to have some experience on the bench in case things go sideways. At the moment, it's actually quite close at the moment as we get 33 votes. PSF Detroit was getting some hype. Now Jail Duprier getting a bit more attention. We haven't seen much of him as we have, obviously, of other people recently. My understanding is that he's still back. I haven't heard otherwise. He was on maternity leave, but that was now 2 weeks. So usually comes back for the third one, would be my guess. Yeah, at 44 votes, let's call that over there. And let's put in Jean-Luc Dupré. Right, now 21, I'll reserve scrum off. 21, we've got Grant Williams to come off the bench potentially. We've got a Kobus Rana to come off the bench. We've got a Faf de Klerk to come off the bench. So those are the options we're going to throw out there. Maybe Jason Colby's going to come off the bench at scrum off. You know, maybe he's going to get a bit more opportunity, a bit of game time there as well. You never know. So what are we saying? 44 votes, 45%. Grant Williams at the moment, so we're going to end up there. It's close though between him and Faf de Klerk, which is quite interesting. I'm very interested in that. I thought it was going to be quite to one-sided for Grant Williams. So let's throw in Grant in our number 21 jersey, number 22 jersey. I'm going to put in Moni Liebach. I'm going to put in Andre Pollard. And I'm actually going to put in Damien Willems, actually. Maybe they're one of them as covering Fly Half this weekend. You never know. So those are going to be 3 options over there. And Lisa says, we need to see more of JL Dupré. Says, do you think Russia would ever do 8 and split with 8 backs if we play in Namibia or something? We'll never see with 8 backs. No. I don't think we even have enough players in the squad to be able to put 8 backs on the bench. And you have to, legally, you have to have 3 front rowers. So, no, you'd have to basically have players who can cover the front row, be able to play in the back line for that even to be possible. The most you could do is a 4-4. In theory. So a 4-4, but you could do that. You know, you could have a 4-4 of a front row, then an Andre Esterhuizen, for example. You could have a Kwagga Smith involved in there, and in theory, you could put all 4, and then you could have a come off and a David Williamson. You could put all 4 new backline players. You generally wouldn't, but that's as close as you could get in a very hypothetical situation. Right, we've got 46 votes, and my Liebach's going onto the bench. Right, number 23. This is going to be a difficult one to decide who even goes into the mix here. Who is the 23? I'm going to put in Damien Willems. I'm going to put in a Cheslin Colby. I'm going to put in a Willie Leroux because he can cover fullback. But and then maybe a Jesse Creel. If you want to go with center. Dave Vince cover center. Yeah, let's put Jesse Creel because he covers center and wing. I'm kind of going with any players you can play at 2 different positions. I'm pretty sure I know who you guys are going to go with, but in the meantime, I'm going to try and sort this. I'm just going to create a whole new text box because this is going to annoy me. We should do that. I see my editing here going. Make that blue. There we go. That's looking a bit better, isn't it? A bit of space. There we go. There we go. Now we're looking a bit pretty. Now it's looking a bit more prettier. Well, at least a bit more lined. Where we at? Got Damien Willems with 76% of the votes from 42. Pretty standard that really. Right. There is a 23, which means we have to add our captain in. So CM Thunder, in you go. Lovely. Well, there we go. That is your fan picked 23 versus Georgia. What I like about this is that there is some experience. So, for example, in the starting line, you've got somebody like a Sia Khaleesi. You've got somebody like a Thomas Totoy. It's a very inexperienced back line from an international point of view. But Andre Esterhuizen has been around a while. Kenny Moody still is a World Cup winner. Edel van der Merwe has actually been around the block despite the fact that he's so new to the international setup. He's not exactly young. But we've got lots of experience. I like a combination of the bench. Bongi Manandi bringing experience, Arkestan bringing experience, Damien Willems bringing experience, Moni Liebach there's a lot of experience on the bench. It is new enough, I think, for trying something like a JL Dupré getting opportunities, somebody like a Bone Fenter getting a debut, Asanati coming off the bench. So there is some young players, but it's a good mix, people. I think we've done good work over there. Last couple of comments before we wrap it up, Ndlovu was saying Vili should get more caps than Monty. Heath Curry says, do you think Moody at 13, either look at 14 might work better? They do seem to look at Ethan more as a sort of an out and out. Like Rusty said they see him as a 13. Whereas I think Kane Moody, they see him as a 13/14. I think they see Kane Moody more of a wing option than Ethan Hooker. Ethan Hooker, they kind of seem to look at more as a center. That's just basically what I'm picking up. It could be pure speculation, but that's just from what I've picked up when I've been to press conference that Rassie Erasmus has spoken about. So there we go. That's the fan picked side. People, thank you very much for watching. I'll be putting out my side out later, so feel free to go and pick it apart and see what you think. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well, and we'll see you guys all soon. Well, we'll see you tomorrow for the official lineup. That should be announced similar time, actually. So same time, same place tomorrow. Shall we do it? No, in fact, we'll see you before then, because we'll see you tonight. Baby Box up against Argentina, 8:30. We will be live on the channel, so we'll see you guys then. And yeah, let's get ready for hopefully a very, very good